Hey folks, welcome to the village. We're going to be working on here today for dinner is some Irish cottage pie. Kind of a similar to the English version of shepherd's pie. A little bit different spin on it with the, this has beer in it and so forth. Never made this before, so you're going to learn with me here. We might screw this up. Some of this is in grams, which we have to convert. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on this. I will put a copy of this up if you're curious of what I'm making and want to make it after I make it. Say, wow, that's good, I want to make that. Or man, that's gross, I want to throw that away. Up to you. We're gonna start off first with the potatoes. It calls for 2 large russet potatoes, diced up and then boiled. I'm not a big fan of russet potatoes. I feel like eating wood, they're good, but I'm gonna use my my yellow potatoes over here, much more flavorful, thin skins. I am actually not going to take the skins off. I'm just going to dice them, put them in some salt water and get those boiling and get those started. So I'm going to dice those up and get that started. And then we'll come back here and we'll work this recipe and see if we can get this made. All right. Thanks for joining, folks. Got the potatoes all diced up here. These are, again, the Yukon Golds versus the Russets. Some of them are small, didn't cut them up. They're pretty thin skinned, so you don't have to worry about it. I got them in a little salt water. We're going to bring those up to a boil those up, get those tender, and then we'll make those a little bit later. We'll just actually probably put them off to the side till we get ready to make that. So we're going to get those going. Then we're going to go back over here and get some more stuff ready. Then we're going to start putting everything together. Okay, so I've diced up, supposed to be half a large onion. This is more of like probably a full medium-sized onion plus a little bit more. I like onions, so we're going to go with that. Again, if you're watching me, not big on measuring. I got a tablespoon of olive oil over here in the skillet here, I'll show you. And we're going to take those onions over here, put that in this skillet, and we're going to start getting those till they're about translucent. Put them on probably medium heat. Once we get those translucent, we're going to go and add the rest of the ingredient. I think the garlic comes next. Well, it's positive. So we'll put that garlic in there. Got 1 clove of garlic. I got 3 little cloves, so I'm just going to mince these up real good, and those will go in after that. So I'm going to let that oil heat up a little bit while we're going ahead and mince this up. Alright. Garlic and onions I love, so sometimes I go a little heavy on it. That's totally up to you what you want to do. Stuff's a little bit older, trying to sprout a little bit, but it should be fine. There we go. And that's minced up, so we're going to just mince that up real quick. But you never want to put your garlic in the same time as your onions, because garlic cooks a lot quicker, and garlic will burn and give it kind of a funky taste. So just kind of watch out, like the onions can take a little more heat, so those will go in first. So there's our minced garlic done. So I'm going to check my oil real quick because I want to get that kind of warm before I put that in. It helps if I turn it on. Put that on medium heat. So again, we'll let that heat up a little bit. We'll put the onions in. We'll let those go 2-3 minutes till they get a little translucent. Then we'll add our garlic in. And then we'll start down the process here. I think after that, we're going to add the beef in. I'm using, it says minced beef. Good luck finding minced beef around anywhere, depending on where you live. I live in Nebraska, you can find ground beef. I'm using organic grass-fed beef. I like this stuff. 85-15, so that'll go in next. And then we're going to mix this up, and you're basically going to come up with a creamy, you know, ground beef kind of mixture. And that's going to be the base of your recipe. So let me go ahead and check that. We'll get these onions in there. We'll come back and see how we're doing there. Okay, our onions are going here. Looking pretty good. A couple more minutes for they're getting fairly translucent. I'll give it another minute. Potatoes over here, looking pretty good. These are about done. I cut them back off a boil. They're on a light boil now. I'm saying cook those probably another couple minutes, and we'll cut those off and turn those off. We'll drain the water off those in a second. We'll go ahead and get these going here about another, get another minute. They're getting pretty translucent. We'll come back and add our garlic into this. And then we'll probably do the garlic a couple minutes too, let it cook up a little bit. And then we'll add our meat back into this and start getting that going. So, yeah, everything's going pretty good here. I don't recall the next step. We'll get there. So, touch back here in a second and see where we're at. Okay, we got our garlic added in here now. So the garlic will give a couple minutes in here. Don't want to cook it too long. Again, garlic can burn and that just screws up the garlic. So get that in there, mix that in there a little bit. Let that get sauteed up a little bit. Over here again, got our potatoes going. I'm gonna cut these off in a sec. They're looking pretty good. See some of them that are boiled up. They look pretty solid all the way through. So yeah, I think I give it about one more minute. We're gonna cut those guys off. Because once you cut them off, they're still going to cook. So that's why you want to not cook them all the way to the end and then turn them off, because then you're going to overcook them. You're going to have nasty potatoes. So we're going to cut those off in a sec. We're going to keep that garlic going here a little bit, a couple seconds, about another 30 seconds, and then we're going to add the meat into that. We'll start browning out the meat in that. So we'll touch back here in a sec. Okay, now we've added in the ground beef. I'm just trying to dice it up a little bit. Again, minced meat, good luck finding that, and they say it in this country, but yeah, we grind everything here. So this is ground beef. It'll be just fine. Just gonna, again, just try to get it diced up as best you can, and then we'll let that sit in there, bring up the heat a little bit. We'll cook this for a few minutes, get this all browned off. And once it gets browned off, we'll come back and we're going to start adding in like our carrots, our peas, our flour and all that, our chicken broth and stuff, our beer, and get this cooking. So we'll let this get going. Again, potatoes, we got those cut off over here. They're done. So we're going to drain those in a few minutes and just let those chill till we come back to that, because that's the end that goes on top. So let this get going and we'll touch back in a sec, folks. So our meat's pretty well browned off over here now. It says drain out the fat, but this really doesn't have much fat, so I'm not going to worry about that. So now we're going to go back and combine our peas and carrots. My carrots are fresh, so I'm going to throw those in first and cook them for a few minutes. I'm also throwing our butter in now. So get those a little softened up. My peas are frozen, so those aren't going to take as long. Throw my butter in there. We'll mix these in real good and get this going a little bit before we add the peas in and head on to the next step. Again, these carrots, just want to get them, you know, softened up a little bit, or they'll be a little hard. So we're just going to mix those in, work those in, let that butter work in a little bit and melt up. Just keep working these around. And that's what we got going on there. So, and we'll come back and add our peas in, and then we'll have the next step where we add the beer and so forth. So we'll go for a minute and we'll check back in a second, folks. Okay, I give the carrots a little bit longer to soften up there. I'm going to add my peas back into this. Again, the recipe's in grams and you can convert it to ounces, which that takes time. So we're just going to kind of, that looks about right. Maybe a couple more. That's how we measure here in the village. So add those in. We're going to mix those up. At least cook a little bit, soften up a little bit and thaw out. And then I'll come back and start adding the other ingredients, the flour, the beer, and so forth. So let those get going. We'll touch back in a sec, folks. Okay, now we got our peas added in there. We have our flour, we have our Worcestershire sauce, our tomato paste, and our beer added back in. Medium heat. We're just going to cook this for probably about another minute or so. And once we get that done, we'll add the chicken stock to it, and then we're gonna get it till it's nice and thick and chunky, and then we're gonna set it off to the side, and we'll go back to work on our potatoes over there, making our mashed potatoes that are on top. So Looking pretty good so far. I don't know what you guys think. It smells pretty good. I wish you could smell it. It smells pretty decent. So again, we'll give this another minute, minute and a half, cooking on medium heat. And then we're gonna work on adding our chicken stock in and getting that going. So we'll check back in there in a second, folks. Okay, this has been going for a couple minutes now. So we're adding our half a cup of chicken broth. Put that in there. We're gonna mix this up and we're gonna let this cook probably another 2-3 minutes. Want to be kind of a chunky sauce kind of looking dealio. So let that get going here for a little bit, mix it in real good. It smells really good. I think it's gonna be pretty darn good here. Again, mixed in there. So we got going on. Again, we'll get back those in a second over there. Well, this go probably about another 2 minutes. We're gonna take this off. It's gonna go in a casserole dish where it's gonna lightly grease casserole dish where I just rub a little butter inside, let this cool down, and we're gonna work on our topping there. So we'll check back in a few, folks. Okay, so it looks like our mixture here, this is pretty much done. Again, it's like a chunky meat sauce. That's what you want to look for. So we're pretty set there. We're gonna take those potatoes, we've got those drained off over here. We're gonna take those and take them out of the bowl, put our cheese, our milk and so forth, salt. We're gonna mash those up. Put this in the casserole dish that's slightly greased. I got this cool back down real good. And then we're gonna put our potatoes on top, put those on top, just cover them up real nice. And then we're gonna stuff that bad boy in the oven. So let me get working on that and we'll get back to you in a sec, folks. Okay, I got the potatoes back in here with the butter and the milk. Supposed to use a hand mixer. I don't have a hand mixer, so we're doing the old school. Might not be as creamy, but it works. So we're just gonna mix this up real good. And I kept the skins on. They're pretty thin, so not gonna be too bad. Skins actually have all the a lot of the nutrition in the potato, so we're gonna keep those back in there. We're supposed to have Irish cheddar, hard to find here. Got English cheddar. It's pretty close. So we'll add a little of that here in a sec. Work on this a little bit. And we got our mixture back over here cooling off. We gotta let this cool down. So it's getting pretty close. One of these granite countertops cools down really quick. And let's go back on the surface of this and we're gonna toss her back in the oven and cook it up. So let me work on this a little bit, get this cheese shredded up a little bit, and we'll check back here in a sec, folks. Okay, we got our potatoes all mashed up with our manual masher. Probably not as creamy as it's supposed to be with the thing, with the, whipping it with the beaters and everything. Now we just take this and we're gonna go back and put that on our meat mixture here. Just gonna take it and smooth it on there with the spoon. Not really not the easiest thing to do in the world, but again, we're not shooting for perfection here. Again, if you did it with a mixer, it could be a little creamier, probably a little bit easier, but we're gonna make it work. So again, we're just gonna put that in there. Mixing with a little bit. Yeah, not perfect. We're not shooting perfect here. Shooting for good. pretty much it, folks. The back on there. Not perfect, but good enough. We got our oven over there heating up to 325. So we're gonna put that in there and we're gonna cook it for about 30 minutes. Really not cook everything, just, well, it's gonna warm everything back basically through and kind of brown up everything. We're not gonna cover it up. We're gonna rotate it and everything, make sure everything browns up good. Again, we'll cook it up, we'll pull it out, we'll look at it and shoot another picture of it and show you what it looks like in the finished product. And then we're gonna eat it up and see what we think. Again, thanks for watching, folks. If you like what we're doing here, hit the like button. If you like watching what we do here, subscribe, mash that subscribe button. If you want to hit the notification button, it'll notify on your device when we're putting something up, so you know what, a new video went up. So yeah, thanks for joining us, and have a good day. Okay, folks, got the cottage pie done. I forgot to mention, once we're done with the 30 minutes at 325, we take it out, put the broiler back on, put it back in on the broiler for 5 minutes, rotate it a couple times, kind of round up on the top. So I would tilt it up here, but that is on fire. There, a little close up. Again, at the end of the video, I'm going to post the recipe if you want to give it a shot. I don't know. We haven't eaten it yet. We'll see what it tastes like. Might taste like butt. Might taste good. So, if you like what we're doing here, hit the like button. If you like to subscribe to our channel, just mash that subscribe button. If you want to hit the notifications on your device, it'll tell you when we put something up. If you have any questions or comments, put those down below. You know, we're here to share information and learn from each other. So thanks for joining, folks, and have a good weekend.